Anybody who has ever tried to learn a new skill, especially as an adult, can tell you that it is a pain in the ass. The very thought of hundreds of hours of research and practice can be enough to put many people off the idea of attempting any kind of personal advancement. Oh, let's go sit on the couch. That'll be easier. I'm gonna get really good at GTA. But how cool would it be if before you went on holiday, you could forgo all of that tedious linguistic study and simply download the native language of whatever country you happen to be visiting directly into your smooth brain? Or upon discovering that you're about to be involved in some sort of alcohol-fueled pub brawl, you could simply pop to the toilet and use your mobile phone to download a brutal mix of Krav Maga and Kung Fu before returning to clean house like Neo from The Matrix. Sick. Unfortunately, this is not currently an option that is available outside of movies or computer games, but is it something that is likely to be available in the future? Is it possible that given advances in technology, the whole education system might just become superfluous? Let's find out. First of all, does anything that comes close to this technology currently exist in any form? Well, actually the answer is kind of sort of yeah. Although there is currently no way of uploading huge chunks of information into the brain, which you can then access exactly the same way as you would your own memories, researchers working at the HRL Information and Systems Sciences Laboratory in California have made some promising steps in that direction. The pilot study involved carrying out complex brain scans on experienced pilots whilst they carried out specific pilot-related tasks. Once that data had been analyzed, researchers then set about attempting to modify the brainwave activity of novice pilots who were carrying out the same training tasks through a process called neurostimulation. At this point, you might be wondering, well, Simon, what exactly is neurostimulation? Well, in this case, neurostimulation is a method whereby the electrical signals within the brain are manipulated through the use of electrodes attached to the outside of the skull. Using this method, researchers were able to alter the electrical activity in the brains of the novice pilots as they studied different techniques so that they more closely resembled those of experienced pilots. So, did this kind of prima facie quackery actually work? And the answer, amazingly, is yes. According to the results, the test subjects that underwent neurostimulation performed 33% better in competency tests than in the control group. So, although it's not quite the same as having piloting skills installed at the tap of a button or the click of a mouse, it certainly is a huge step in the right direction. Brain-to-brain interfaces. An alternative to hugely complex data uploads lies with the so-called brain-to-brain interface. As it currently stands, this technology is fairly limited, but it does allow one person to control the actions of another using only the power of thought. And yes, again, this is real. Back in 2014, a group of researchers set up an experiment in which one participant observed a simple computer game, the object of which was to fire a cannon at missiles when they reached a certain point on the screen. At the point when the observer would have fired the cannon, they were instructed to imagine lifting the hand and allowing it to fall back down on a touchpad. Through the use of passive brainwave detection sensors contained within a specially designed hat, this information was transferred via the internet to a second participant, and through the use of electrodes, the instruction was sent directly into the brain, which resulted in the required hand movement to fire the cannon. The participant, who was receiving the signals, was located in a different room, wearing noise-cancelling headphones and deprived of any visual stimulation that might aid in the playing of the game. The results were very impressive. Using the brain-to-brain interface, the team were able to successfully destroy 83.3% of the targets, as opposed to 0% when attempting the experiment without the interface. Although this does not currently have any particularly useful real-world applications, the concept, if refined, really does have tremendous potential. Imagine, if you will, a master surgeon. This surgeon is required on the other side of the world from where he or she is currently located to perform an exceptionally complex life-saving operation. But time is running out. By the time our theoretical surgeon has taken a flight, rested up after that flight, and prepped for the operation, it's going to be too late. Through the use of sending and receiving hats, our surgeon could theoretically conduct the entire operation over the internet from the comfort of their own bed, if they wish. The person at the other end might not even have to have any medical training at all, though we imagine that might be helpful. What if the interface goes down mid-surgery? Oh, God. Alternatively, imagine the following scenario. You are on board a transatlantic flight when both pilots are incapacitated. Ordinarily, this could have fatal consequences, but with the addition of one receiving hat in the cockpit of every aeroplane, it could be not a problem at all. Any of the passengers could simply put on the hat and an experienced pilot could safely fly the plane to its destination. But what if we take this technology one step further? What if instead of another human wearing the signal-sending hat, the signals could be sent directly from a computer running artificially intelligent software? As it is already possible for computers to interpret rudimentary brain commands, the technology is already being used in advanced artificial limbs, it's not a huge stretch of the imagination to assume that in the not-too-distant future, computers will be able to decode much more complex thoughts and respond accordingly. This would negate the need to have vast amounts of information stored in the brain. As soon as you thought, for example, how do I order 12 beers in Spanish? Your brain could automatically be provided with this response. Something to do with cervezas. According to many researchers, this technology may not be as far away as we might think. It is already possible to attach a camera directly to the brain in order to restore a rudimentary form of sight for those who have gone blind due to various degenerative conditions. Beaming information directly into the brain in real time would just be a variant of this pre-existing technology. However, hooking your brain up to the internet would not be entirely without risk. New technology always invites new cybercrime, and the very idea that a competent hacker could gain control of not only the information you receive, but also your very actions is one that should give any of the development teams currently working on such systems serious pause for thought. That is some Black Mirror right there. Not only that, but such a system would be most certainly exploited by advertising companies around the world. Imagine thinking to your brain computer about getting directions to a certain location, and instead of having those directions visually represented in your brain, you're instead bombarded with directions to lonely girls in your area. They're real. You know they are. It really doesn't bear thinking about. Also, in opening up our brains to computers, we increase the risk of one of the less desirable ideas put forth in the Matrix, that of the inevitable uprising of the machines. But why is it so difficult to come up with a way of uploading information directly into the brain? Put simply, the reason that we can't just drag and drop information into a folder we create within our brain is that, contrary to what people would like you to believe, brains and computers are really quite different. There is no one place in the brain that contains all your memories. Therefore, any system that was developed to carry out this task would have to be capable of interacting with many different sections of the brain simultaneously. As there are still many things about the brain that we don't fully understand, even attempting such an invasive procedure is likely to have many unforeseen consequences. According to Michael Bellier, assistant professor of psychology and brain sciences at UC Santa Barbara, quote, "The biggest challenge I see is that our understanding of the brain is simply not good enough to make brain uploads viable. We need to better understand how information is stored and accessed in the brain. For example, there is no one brain area that stores your piano or your Spanish skills. As far as we understand, implicit memories, such as motor memories required to play the piano at master level, require a concerted effort of multiple brain areas, such as the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. Other information, such as semantic memories, e.g. general facts and information, rely on the interplay between the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the neocortex at large. Hence, there might simply not be a single place in your brain where you can plug in the USB stick. In addition to this problem, the electrodes required to interact with individual neurons in the brain would have to be almost unimaginably small, and we do not, as yet, possess this level of advanced technology. Having said that, almost everybody who is involved in researching this topic believes that someday it is going to be possible. But really, is it actually something that you'd want to do? I mean, sure, the idea of becoming a martial arts master or a linguistics expert almost instantaneously is pretty cool, but what about the potential downsides? Nothing is ever given away free of charge. Imagine being supremely confident of victory as you stroll casually towards the previously mentioned pub brawl, only to realize when you throw your first punch that you forgot to renew your martial arts subscription. You would run the risk of getting your ass kicked because you forgot to renew your subscription. Look, almost everybody who has ever downloaded software from the internet has come across some sort of virus or another. When it's your computer, the worst case scenario is that you'll have to format your hard drive and start from scratch again, which is a pain in the arse, but you don't really want to take that risk with your brain. Personally, I think I'll just stick to studying.